This Privy Council learned today and yesterday that this case would never be fairly tried in Jamaica. And so much went wrong in the case already that the best thing to do is to overturn the judgment. All right, we are at the end. It has come and it has passed. Why if it have come there? It forward and it gone, right? We're talking about the Vybz Kartel appeal at the Privy Council. Big up to Sean Storm and the rest of the man them. I feel like you guys are coming home for sure, for sure. But let's get into all the details though. So I have compiled 2 paper full. Y'all know how I do already. Listen, over here we don't deal with nothing but facts, okay? So forget your personal feelings and you feel like the boy them they guilty so them should have ended for life. No, we're talking about the justice system and how it works and what is presented in a court of law, what rules, laws, regulations were violated, what took place, etc., etc. That's what we are dealing with. Alright. Now, this is day 2, a summation of day 2. This is going to be a long breakdown, but pay attention because for those of you who want to know, okay, now that they're done hearing everything from both sides, what happens next? What happens next, according to the Privy Council, is it can take them up to about 2 to 3 months before they make a final decision. And their final decision will be the say-so of do they get a new trial or do they vacate the sentence and the man them go free, or whatever the case may be, do they reduce their sentence to a significantly lower number and still have them serve off a couple more years before they are out, which I highly doubt is going to happen. So we're going to talk about all that right now. Now, going right into it. The Privy Judge, he heard a specific allegation that was detrimental to the case, and all he did was repeat what he said to the juror at the start of the trial. This is the Privy Judge, the Privy Council judge, talking about the judge that overheard or was told about the juror that was going around soliciting other jurors to pay them to come up with a verdict. He wanted to know, from the Privy Council wanted to know, okay, so what did the judge do? What was his course of action? And they brought it up. And the judge said, he heard a specific allegation that was detrimental to the case, and all he did was repeat what he said to the juror at the start of the trial. Like there was so many other things, course of action that he could have taken, but he didn't. Alright? Alright. He mentioned that the House, and okay, so now you have Vybz Kartel's, not Vybz Kartel, but the guy who represents the DPP, Paula and them, the prosecution. He mentioned of the House, and I speak specifically of these points because I have covered these for years. Go look them up. He mentioned of the House, and he said the House was burnt, but he never mentioned that the House was bulldozed by the state. You understand? Why did he not report that the House was burnt? He's asking the Privy Council, why did Vybz Kartel not report that the House was burnt? Well, and he said this is suspicious, which leads to, it looked like guilt. Well, we're not talking about what anything looks like, sir. We're talking about what amounts to guilt, right? My house burning, piece of my house burn off. I have multiple properties. And me not stay at one place there. When me I report it to UNOFA, so my house catch on fire. That's not how it goes in Jamaica. You don't report every little fire when your house catch on fire to the authorities in Jamaica. The house got burnt, right? But what I wanted him to touch on is why the hell did they bulldoze the property, broke it down to rubbles and got rid of it before they were able to get an independent forensic team to fly into the country. Let me explain about the House one more time. So, if there was something inside of that house that could have proved the DPP's point, they would have never bulldozed the house. That's all I'm going to say about the house. There was nothing in that house that would prove that their theory of what happened in that house actually happened in the house. All right, move along. He's reading and he says, a chop will chop up the boy, lizard, fine, fine, and dash him away. And then he says, this is admittance. It gets no clearer than this. Okay, let's put some context to this, because a lot of people over the years weren't paying attention. Check it. That voice note, eventually a digital forensic expert was flown into Jamaica because they couldn't trust nobody in Jamaica to do it, right? Or because Jamaica didn't have an individual of that capacity. But I'm guessing they couldn't trust. So they bought an independent forensic specialist flown into the country who has no dog in this fight to look over and put his credibility, his license, his professional resume on the line. That digital forensic expert, when he was done analyzing the voice note and everything else, he came away with, he said, quote unquote, not only was it tampered with, it was heavily tampered with. Yeah, enough cut and splice go on, and things were moved around, and certain things were put in text that weren't there and didn't have anything in relation to do with another. So it wasn't a credible piece of evidence. And I know that's all Jamaica DPP was leaning on. And it turns out, in the Privy Council hearing, that's all they had to lean on. Because if you look on the guy that was representing the DPP, he literally looked like they had to go for the knee-jerk reaction. Anybody who hear this, I'm going to say, Jesus Christ, guilty no matter what. But when you put it into context with a digital forensic expert and metadata, that information cannot be ignored. Now here's the thing, a lot of people are saying, SouFLo, how come I never hear them talk about the digital forensic expert that flew into Jamaica and his findings and so on and so forth? Well, my friend, Vybz Kartel's lawyer, Isaac Buchanan, was running like, you never watch Roots, the movie with Kunta Kinte? Vybz Kartel's attorney, Isaac Buchanan, was running like how Kunta Kinte was running for freedom. I mean, he was running trying to get that piece of information submitted, added to the case. That was the piece of information that the Privy Council rejected, and they didn't reject it because they didn't think it was good. They rejected it because the window to submit had closed. But this is the kind of game that they played in Jamaica, especially on the DPP side, right? The prosecution side. They made sure they string this along so much and string it along so much that by the time the forensic expert flew into Jamaica and got a finding and gave it to them, it was too late to submit it to it's a tactic that they used. Sabotaged it purposely, if you will. So it was too late to submit it to the Privy Council. Now, improperly gathered evidence, fabricated evidence, broken chain of custody with the voice note, the phone which contained the voice notes, tainted jury pool which brought about what they call a impure verdict. These are the things you're going to have to look at. The text messages were heavily tampered with, said the jury, said the digital expert. And this is when we have to go back and visit the police taking the phone from the evidence room. Some people who are dunce said there's nothing wrong with the police. I take the phone from the evidence room because it never changed nothing. You must be slow. So if you steal something, right, and you bring it back, and the person you stole it from said, my bag had $200 in it, but the money is gone, but then bring back the bag. Do you believe the person whose bag it was, or you believe the person who steal the bag? You're going to believe the thief that said, no, me steal the bag, but me did carry it back, but me never see any money in it when me did steal it. No, you're going to believe, more likely to believe the person who actually owned the bag, not the thief who stole the bag, right? Right. So in this particular case, it's kind of like going down that road, man. Seriously, Jamaica judicial system got exposed, and they got exposed big, and it didn't look good. It kind of looked embarrassing, to say the least, right? Now, they were there arguing for a minute about Supplemental Jury Act, which is an actual thing, Supplementary Jury Act. And one of them said, the attorney said, I've sent it by email this morning. Paula Llewellyn them doing everything at this point to keep Vybz Kartel and the man them in prison. Taking quotes from 1898 documents, mumbling about how a jury should be drawn up and who should be excluded, etc., etc. It was one long-winded talk about nothing. I learned today, though, that capital murder requires 12 jurors, but this was not in that category. So Kartel them case wasn't seen as capital murder. They went further to explain what capital murder is. Capital murder would be like killing a police officer while he was in the process of conducting his duties. See? Right. So in this case, they were allowed to go with 11 jurors instead of 12. If it was a capital murder case, they would have had to have 12. And then, you know, the verdict came back 10-1. Now, the question came up in this argument, could they have gotten rid of a particular juror who they thought was contaminated and then move forward with only 10? And the answer was no. But he was unprepared because this is Paula Llewellyn's guy that was talking on their behalf, right? He's trying to sway them with everything in the book that it was okay to move forward in this case with what they knew about a juror that contaminated the jury pool. A contaminated juror contaminating the jury pool. And he's trying to justify it. He was unprepared because what they had planned was already cut down. Now they have to wing it, as we call it in the army, or go on the fly. Like, boy, I don't know what's going to happen, but let me see, right? And keep on arguing their point. None of the 10 jurors had taken the bribe, is what he said. And it's obvious, he said, Your Honor, because the outcome in that case was 10-1 guilty. So that means that the one person, the one corrupted juror, actually was the only one that did not surrender a verdict. First of all, you don't know who voted guilty and who voted innocent. That same juror that you think might have held out might have been one that went the other way and said guilty. And somebody else might have been the one that, you understand? So the judge is saying to him from the Privy Council side, listen, I don't care how you flip it, guy. It's not okay. It is not okay. He even went as far as to ask him, if this was in the UK, right, given, what would you say? Would you say it was okay to carry on an entire trial with a corrupted jury and a corrupted juror that possibly tainted the entire jury pool? He could, well, Your Honor, that was his answer. He couldn't come out with, yeah, I think we could. And then he did. And my mouth was like this. This man just said it was okay to continue a case all the way through with a corrupted juror and a corrupted jury pool. Oh my God. It was watching him speak was crazy. Anyhow, the Privy Council judge said that the Jamaican judge did cut corners and did not discharge the juror or the jury pool because, he would have had to start over. He even said, I get it. Listen, I'm telling you, this is going to bite them in the ass. He even said, the Privy Council judge says, I get it. This could be pretty expensive, right? We wouldn't even want to start over a trial that's 64 days in the UK, let alone in Jamaica. But what's right is right, kind of thing. Like, what has to be done has to be done, as much as you might not like having to do it. You understand? So that told me right away, boom, bombshell drop. The judge is like, I don't care how you twist this or try to make it sound okay. It's not okay. It's not okay. In England, we would think twice about rerunning a trial for 65 days. the expenses that this would cost the state in the UK, let alone in Jamaica. That was his comment. And I get it that nobody would want to do that, but it was the right thing to do. Don't let that pass in the head. This means the judge in Vybz Kartel case erred greatly in judgment. And that is not going to sit well with the decision of the Privy Council. You understand? I love the Privy Council. At this point, I'm watching a video and I'm thinking to myself, damn, I love the Privy Council. Matter of fact, I think it's time for me to visit the UK once again. You know, because I haven't been there in a while. But watching them, how they conducted this case, it was like, jeez, this is justice. I mean, the level of clarity in this case was above any I've ever seen, kind of thing. So he went on and he told the Privy Council members that the Court of Appeal in Jamaica, because the guy that was representing Paula Llewellyn them, right, he started grabbing for straws because he was out there drowning. And my wife was on the live because I watched it on her channel, and I could see her saying, damn, he's drowning because of the things that they did, that Paula Llewellyn them did, the corners them and the judge cut in Jamaica. This man don't even know how to help them anymore. See? So he forego all professionalism now. And he told the Privy Council members that the Court of Appeal in Jamaica has more familiarity with this case. And they, the Privy Council, must remember that they are just a secondary review. I said, wow. Wow. The man said, basically he was saying this, like, please remember that you're only reviewing the case. But the Court of Appeals in Jamaica, they shot this down. That's why it ended up here. And you're just a secondary review. And he said, with all due respect, after that. Kind of like when Jamaican people say, no disrespect still, you know, but I be a fucker you're talking, you know. You see, we say no disrespect still first, right? And then with disrespect, you're right after. Be a fucker you're talking, you know. And so he pulled one of those on the Privy Council judges. Now, what you must remember is, it is still Jamaica's highest court. So even though the Court of Appeals in Jamaica did shoot the case down, that doesn't mean that the Privy Council must also rule in favor of the Court of Appeals in Jamaica. That's not what the Privy Council is for. And that's not how the justice system works. That is why you have another level that you can fight it all the way to in order to get your justice. You understand? I started looking at the man like, does this man know what I'm talking about now at this moment, you know? You want to see Paula Llewellyn sheet in at the back, you know? See Paula Llewellyn in a hand reach for face. And there was one point where I was laughing because all of them had their hand right here. It was like they could see the case going away from them. And then the Privy Council judges, the woman that was on there, and two of the guys, the judges, they started digging in to the guy that was representing Paula Llewellyn, them, the DPP, Department of Public Prosecution out of Jamaica. They started digging into him, right? Honestly, at this point, I'm like, yo, I can't believe that they actually spent they spent all this time just trying to convince everybody that going on with a dirty jewelry pool was okay. Because that's all the majority of his speech was about that. It was about trying to make it okay with a corrupted juror and a dirty jewelry pool. Because the jewelry pool was contaminated. You understand? We don't know how many people in the jewelry pool got bribed. We don't know how many people in the jewelry pool got changed their mind. And when he argued with the Privy Council judges and he said, Your Honor, you can tell that none of the jurors took the bribe because the verdict came out 10-1. That means all of them voted guilty, and the one person who might have been the dirty juror, the corrupted juror, he voted the other way. Okay, the judge looked at him and the judge says, or it could have been the other way around. You don't know how people react when someone is trying to bribe them. Maybe they were leaning towards innocent, but because this person tried to bribe them, they said, frigate, we're voting guilty, and it forced a guilty verdict instead of an innocent verdict. So there isn't one way to look at this. What we know is this is the exact reason why there are things put in the law where if you find out that one of your jurors is corrupted, you sequester the jury, you lock them down first of all. Then you separate that one. And then you conduct some kind of study, I don't remember what the word of it is called, with each individual juror to make sure that none of them are corrupted moving forward. If you find that the one juror has corrupted other jury members, then you have to do away with not just that one juror, but with the whole jury pool and start all over again with a fresh new set of 11 people. That was not done in this case. So the case kept going, right? And at this point, I'm looking at the case and I'm saying to myself, you know what? I'm so disappointed. I'm so disappointed that, I mean, it looked bad for Jamaica, man. It looked bad. You know, the world got a chance to see, actually, how frigged up things can be in the Jamaica justice system. So the appellant defense now gets to speak. This is the guy who represents the Vybz Kartel side of things. The one that was stuttering yesterday. Lo and behold, today, he seemed super confident. Way less stuttering. I did not see Isaac Buchanan present. This guy wasn't stuttering no more. He was exuding nothing but we knocked this out the park kind of energy. You know what I'm saying? His email server crashed at this point. They were chattering low back and forth in the background. Then they started to move forward. Basically what he was doing up there, he was rebuttaling every single thing that the person who was representing the DPP, Paula Llewellyn, them had to say. And if you notice his interaction with the Privy Council judges in comparison to the interaction of the guy who was representing the DPP with the judges, totally complete different interaction. The judges stopped the guy who was representing Paula Llewellyn them a lot and questioned him a lot and walked back the things he said a lot and were combative towards whatever he said a lot. When it came to the guy who represented the Vybz Kartel side, it was friggin' smooth sailing for him. Even one point the judge says, if you're gonna read that, let's at least have the updated version to it. And he was right on point. He says, my lord, or something. He said, yes, I have the updated version right here. This is why I have my device open, right? And boom, then the internet server crashed, I guess. So basically he was rebuttaling what was said by the DPP side. Then trust the juror to do their job. This came from Paula Llewellyn them side. Trust the juror to do their job. This guy on Vybz Kartel side says, yes, there's a clause in the law that says trust the jurors to do their job. But that is if the jury pool is not tainted though. So why are they over there saying trust the jury to do their job when we know that the jury pool was tainted already and we don't know what impact that had on the outcome, the decision, right? They argued about, not argued about, but he spoke about something called the putting on point. The larger embedded, the more heightened. The longer embedded, the more heightened the risk of prejudice. The judge had no idea. So in other words, the longer a corrupted juror is embedded or seated amongst the rest of the jury pool, the more likely, the more heightened the risk of prejudice. That means he might have contaminated more than 1, 2, 3. So for instance, if I became a corrupted juror last night and they found out this morning, more than likely I probably only got my ideas across to one person. But if I've been sitting amongst them, 64 days the trial lasts, you know. So if I've been sitting amongst them being corrupted for the past 30 days, probably everybody at this point has been touched in some way by what I have going on. So they are all corrupted as well. You understand? Right, that's called the putting on point. Now, Jamaica needs to introduce legislation. This is what he said. He says Jamaica needs to introduce legislation that would allow them to deal better with a tainted jury. But the answer is never to continue on with the trial with the same corrupted juror or a tainted jury pool. There are solutions. I thought that was so friggin' embarrassing. Like, I hope the Jamaica just judicial system, somebody with some rank is looking at this today so we don't have this happen again, right? Now, people used to say, SouFLo, so what happened to the evidence? We come from Chow. Watch this. It was executed. The evidence that came from Chow was no damn evidence at all. Check it. Chow evidence against Williams, he said, is weak and it was insufficient. Summarizing the evidence, Chow's testimony was actually rejected by the jury. So for all the people them who are say, yeah, man, you talk your foolishness, wait till them go to Privy Council, cause them have Chow, you know. And Chow, okay, here we did the Chow thing for you know. See, Chow's evidence was actually rejected at trial by the jurors in the Vybz Kartel case. And that is the reason why Williams was acquitted, because Chow's testimony was insufficient and it was weak. Yet, they used the same insufficient, weak testimony of Chow and used it against Vybz Kartel and the rest of the guys. So Williams went weak, Williams got acquitted, and then used the same weak testimony against the rest of the guys them. In fact, it should not have been credible. It should not have even went any further. So the judge, the lawyer who was speaking on behalf of the Vybz Kartel side of things, he said, this is where we run into what is called unconscious bias. At this point, the judicial system, the DPP, the judge, whoever, they are of the word that the jury didn't buy that. It didn't work for Williams. Let Williams go. But we are so invested in finding them guilty. Give me that same piece of evidence. Me still going to use it against them. And it's still credible to us against them. Right? The network dropped the video. The screen went blank. The verdict will be overturned is my summation of things or my prediction. Some people are saying there should be a retrial or there might be a retrial. I don't think there will be a retrial. The reason why I don't think there will be a retrial is this. Jamaica pretty much has the same laws as the UK. But it seems like in Jamaica, they do whatever the FUKKK they want, right? Whenever they feel like it. And they don't really follow the law according to the books to a standard of like the Privy Council, which they should follow the law thoroughly. And they don't. So having a retrial in Jamaica, this Privy Council learned today and yesterday that this case would never be fairly tried in Jamaica. And so much went wrong in the case already that the best thing to do is to overturn the judgment. They're not going to look at this and send that case back to Jamaica and say, retry that case that lasted 65 days. He hinted to that. He said, if this happened in the UK, 65 days in, nobody would want to start all over. Get rid of the whole jury pool, start a new jury pool or whatever. But it was the right thing to do. He also mentioned how much it would cost the state in the UK, so you could imagine how much it would cost in Jamaica. That's what he said. Which tells me that they have no intentions of going for a verdict that is going to say retrial. What I am predicting is going to happen, and remember, we have 2 to 3 months for the verdict. But what I am predicting is going to happen, I am predicting that the verdict, the original verdict, will be overturned. And I'm predicting that those guys, Vybz Kartel, Sean Stomp, Kahira Jones, and Andre St. John, I'm predicting that they will be freed of these charges in this particular case. Alright? With that said, damn. It's been a long time coming, man. Some people are still saying, somebody said to me yesterday, you're going to need a bucket and a big sponge when the verdict come back. I guess they're trying to say I'm going to be crying so much because I have followed this case detail for detail through for the entire time Vybz Kartel has been in prison. If y'all look, my kids now that are 6 feet tall, Jaden and Kosi, they were little teety boppers when they got on one of my videos and said, "Happy birthday, Vybz Kartel." And so much time has gone by, them youth there, them talk like me now. Them voice roll when them talk now, right? So much time has gone by, you know, in so fast. I just want to see justice. And for the people them who say, me I gonna need a mop, me I gonna need a big sponge and a bucket because the verdict is gonna come back that he's gonna have to stay behind bars and complete his time and nothing went wrong in his case and whatever. We'll see. We'll see. Whatever events, I know this. Jamaica's justice system was exposed. Yeah. Kind of like when Fox 5 Lisa Evers did that interview with Vybz Kartel and he spoke of the inhumane conditions inside of the prison in Jamaica, and he said he was like in the rooftop of a building with no AC and no nothing, plus his health issues were being exacerbated, you know, and it was like, why this man telling these people about with business like that kind of thing. It was the same thing that happened in the UK. We got to see that Jamaica's patty shop justice system definitely needs an oversight, an overview. And I'm going to close this video by saying this. I was one of them who was saying get away from the UK, the Crown, Privy Council, all that stuff. Have our own independent stuff. I am no longer for that opinion. Because if they don't exist, it seems like we can't govern ourselves. And for the one person who keep jumping in my comment section saying stuff like, oh, that sounds like slave mentality. Because you're looking at it from a color perspective. You're looking at it as white people from England and black people from Jamaica. That's not what I'm looking at. I don't give a damn about color. I care about justice. So I'm looking at it like this. If I myself get caught up in the system, is there a course of action? Is there something set in place where even if I'm wrongfully convicted or I am not given a fair trial, that I can fight my way back to freedom? That's what I'm looking for. And if that don't exist, all of us are You don't know. With that said, leave your comments in the comment section below. Tell me what you think about this one. My opinion is Vybz Kartel them are gonna walk, and the verdict may come back sooner than we think. So may I look forward to it, right? And I'm telling you right now, as soon as that drop there, Jamaica, watch and see. we planning a trip right down there anyways right now. So, but you'll see. You'll see. I'll catch y'all on the next video, man. Hit that subscribe button. It's SouFLoTV. I'm out. Peace.